welcome to This Is Why We Fight. I'm Jo.
And I'm Jordan. I was not muted at all.
Another cracking start. How is everyone? I hope you're well. It's Friday. It's the start of the weekend. I hope everyone's had a good day. Have you had a good day, Jordan?
I have indeed. It's also Bank Holiday Friday because we have
Yes,
Bank
it
Holiday
is.
Monday.
And what day is it? Monday?
It is
Yes?
the first. No, I mean, it's the second. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't debate me like that.
No, what day is it?
It's May Day.
Thank you. My goodness. Yeah, so we've all got to so this is a task for this community. We all have to build maypoles. And we've only got 2 days to do it. So come on, let's go.
It can't be that difficult. It's just like a large stick.
With ribbons. We do need children though. We need to rally up groups of children to hold the ribbons and dance around the maypole.
Oh God,
so, yeah.
Andrew is actually correct. It is the third, not the second.
Yeah, that was such a total fail on your behalf there.
Shut up.
Anyway, good evening, everyone. Good evening, wardens, lurkers, and visitors. Very good to have you with us. Who's here already? We've got English Will. Sir Francis is here. Andrew is here. Is that Europa News, dodgy bloke? Tash is here. Philomena is here. Always good to see you, love. Morris dancers, yes, Sir Francis. If we could rally up some Morris dancers as well, that'd be fantastic. Good evening, Colonel Custard is here. We have a duck thing going on. I'm not sure what that's about, but okay. It's
You
duck
leave the duck
time.
alone.
I'm not attacking the duck.
There's also not a duck.
Well, that is a duck. The English Will's put a sticker of a duck, so is Sir Francis. Are you talking about the other ones with the kecks on? They're geese, aren't they?
I'm pretty certain that's what? Oh yeah, fair enough. There are indeed ducks there. Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you. Good
You know
evening,
what? I'll
Jerry.
accept that.
So yes, you may all be wondering what tonight's show is about. If you read the description, wonder no more. But if you just read the title, I bet you're thinking, oh God, what have I done? Nothing wrong, we promise. When we want to talk about you, we mean all of us, or the royal you. We want to talk about communicating effectively with people and getting the message out. The message, of course, being the reality that's going on around us. Because we need people to stop hiding from it or denying it. So we're not going to go too heavy into this because it is Friday evening, but it's an important topic, we think. And everything really depends on us at least prompting people to look a bit deeper than what they're seeing online or in the news. There's a lot at stake. Hell of a lot at stake.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think there is one of the main issues is typically watching stuff on YouTube and any website, doesn't really matter, DLive, Twitch, whatever. They're typically solitary activities. How many times have you sat down and watched something on YouTube on a TV?
I can't remember the last time I did it. How often I used to do it, almost daily, I would say.
Really?
Yeah. When I used to watch, I'm going to give Sargon a shout out now, but in my defence, that was This Week in Stupid, which I thought was fantastic. And we were talking about this, weren't we? And I used to watch this pretty much. When I found out the series existed, I used to watch one every day because I was so taken with it. It was just when Sargon starts ranting, it was a wonderful sight to behold. But I used to watch loads of stuff when I actually had time to do it. And I used to just flick from Sargon to AA to this to that. It just constant. If you're talking about regular YouTube stuff, like just random videos and stuff. I would rarely watch them on my TV because there would be things other people sent me. I was
Okay.
way down the rabbit hole when I started really getting into YouTube.
But how often would you watch something on YouTube with other people?
Only stuff that's sent to me. If somebody comes around to visit and says, "Oh, I saw a great video," they'll play it and we'll watch it together. That's literally it. Otherwise, it was a solo
Right,
endeavor.
good, because that was kind of my point. It is a solo activity.
Yeah.
Unlike TV, there's something about YouTube and the way that these streaming services are set up. They're solitary activities. They're not something you really sit down and do with other people. And I think that's a large part of the issue.
Well, I would say though, in fairness, we've become so divided now. Everyone likes what they like, and people rarely like the same things in the same family. I know lots of couples, for instance, where when one half of the couple goes to bed, the other half will watch something they know the other half doesn't like. Or they'll watch things at different times because they don't like the same shows. It's because we've got all this weird, freaky stuff. It's because, I don't know, just everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. And everyone's receiving different messages and different nudges and feeling guilted by different things. That I think when they come together, there's so little that they actually agree on, that they don't tend to. YouTube is quite niche for most people now. I mean, it's gone mainstream now. You know, if you want to be lectured about, the trans agenda, that's still quite niche. They've taken all this weird, freaky stuff and they've made it mainstream on YouTube. So everything that used to be mainstream on YouTube that was actually normal has now been replaced by, all the people getting promoted are the freaks and the weirdos, essentially. So you couldn't use YouTube, I think, as a streaming service, as a television service. Plus, all of that's been censored anyway. You can't watch movies on YouTube. You can't really. I suppose you can listen to music, but that's about it. So, I do agree with you, though. Solo activities are part of the problem that we have. And that comes down to the censorship, because a lot of people won't talk about things that are actually happening right now. And these things are not on mainstream media. So you can't sit down with your family and say, "Oh, look at that," and then start discussing it. Those things are gone because no one wants to discuss it. It's like several years ago when the immigration debate kept popping up, and it got censored and censored. And it was like, all white people shouldn't have a voice in that debate. So it just stopped appearing on television. And then people stopped discussing it together because it just wasn't there to talk about. And I think this is what's happening with YouTube censorship. The only things there are now for you to watch together is basically like niche stuff, which is niche by default. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Did I bore you to sleep with that?
No, I was thinking. I was listening and thinking intently. I did go and jump onto YouTube and just click on the explore button because I wanted to see what was there. I wanted to see what your average person would be fed, because I
Yes.
went in and the
Is it
on the
freaks and
incognito
weirdos?
mode. Oddly enough, no, but it was a lot of sport.
Ah, that's the only thing left.
So Francis asked, why is that gone?
Why is the unity gone? Or if you're talking about people doing these things together, I think it's gone the same way as everything else. Even families now have different schedules. People work in shifts, different roles, different responsibilities, different hours. The unification that we used to have has been stripped away one thing at a time. And now we're left with all of these, as you said, solo activities. And here's the problem. You'll watch something and it will make a hell of a lot of sense to you. And you'll think, "Oh, I really want to tell whoever about this, but maybe something gets lost in translation and they don't get the points that you got. And then you've lost your moment. You kind of had a window to kind of get them on board and you missed it. Watching these things together would be an amazing thing. I think the fact that it's essentially on demand is another reason why things have changed. When you used to sit down and watch television together, you knew your program was starting at name that time. You'd make a concerted effort to sit down at that time and watch the program. Things like YouTube and any other on-demand service, you can watch it anytime. And I think if you add into that lockdowns and people, not sleeping and being stressed, and I don't know, I think people tend to, I hope they don't use it as filler. I hope people don't watch stuff like that because they don't have anything of purpose going on in their lives. But I suspect for many that's the case.
I'm just thinking back to something you said there about how if you share videos with people, oftentimes actually, the message doesn't hit home correctly and you lose your moment.
Well, because if you've sat and watched an hour video, it's been presented to you with a lot of thought, hasn't it? When you're recounting that in the space of a few minutes.
But even when you share a video directly with somebody, I've often found that for whatever reason that doesn't really work all that often. Either people won't watch it or just for whatever reason they won't get it in the same way that you got it.
Maybe it's the compulsion factor.
Well, because you're making them watch it as opposed to them just stumbling across it.
Almost. We've talked about this before, you've seen that film. What did you think of it? When people hype something up or talk about it a lot, I think for most of us, those of us who are normal and sane, have this kind of built-in sort of pushback that we do. It's like, oh, for God's sake, I'll watch it. And by the time you do, of course, you're almost resentful of it. And I wonder if there's an element of that. I've said before, when I've gone to watch a film, someone's hyped it for so long, it was such an anticlimax.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as well, when people like us go down the rabbit hole, we might forward a link to a video, but we've gained so much information from so many different sources. We'll be telling people about this, and this, but most of that won't be in that video that we send them. So that's another reason why they could miss it.
That was actually going to be my point. I think there's something about the video format, the YouTube format. It's wonderful for really, really in-depth content. I think a lot of content creators fall short on giving general overviews, or at least stuff that your average person can follow along with. And this is something, strangely enough, that programs like Question Time have done quite well at. Question Time, for whatever reason, has continued going, and while they don't really cover incredibly in-depth topics, they do cover a wide range. And people watch it, and people follow it, and people understand it.
I think it's to do as well with their emotional investment. Things like Question Time, while most people know that they're going to get screwed over and that nothing really that happens on these shows are going to impact them in a good way. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a case of knowledge is power. Maybe it's a case of they want to see people agreeing with them. And for many people, the only way to do that is on national television. It's the reason why shows like, the daytime shows, going back a while now, but there were a few that used to cover, there was one called, is it The Big Question? Can you help me, chat? Is it The Big Question or something?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and they used to cover sort of cultural issues, questions. And I think
Nikki Campbell hosts it. There you go. Yes. I thought it sounded familiar.
Is that The Big Question? Was that right?
Indeed it is.
So, yeah. So I think a lot of people tune in. Like, for instance, with Question Time, during Brexit, I used to watch it. Not
Same
because I
here.
have any faith in the BBC, but I wanted to get an idea of, did people actually agree with my position on us having, sovereignty over our own agency, over our own country, and the laws that are made within it, and how we operate. And I was desperate, actually, to know that other people agreed with me, that I wasn't alone in what I was thinking. So that is one aspect of it. Which is why I think people prefer things like the live streams rather than pre-recorded videos. Just going to go out on a limb here and take a wild stab in the dark, because I do. Because you have a chance to interact, and you can see opinions live. Maybe the chat can confirm that. Do you prefer a live stream where you actually get to interact and give live comments? Because even though you can obviously do this on a video, the time has passed. It's always
It's not quite
past
the
tense.
it's not quite the same. You don't get to direct the conversation.
Yeah. So there we
They're
go.
busy posting chickens. Give them a moment.
Oh God, it's that fluffy chicken. Andrew, what have you started? Yes, everyone's saying yes. So this is the thing. I think that we all want to belong. I think that's just a basic part of our makeup. We all want to belong. And we all want to know that we're not alone. I think it's very important to us to feel that sort of unity, camaraderie with a group or a community. So yeah, I do think it's important that if we can't do things together with our loved ones, to know that someone agrees with us. I think especially now, that's supremely important.
Agreed. The reason we bring this up is because we kind of stumbled across this on the Tuesday stream coming up, or episode coming up rather. We're trying to work out ways to start pushing not pushing the envelope, but start pushing the ball uphill. We need to start working out ways to communicate with friends and family and just general people around us. There is something about the question time format, or about the way that the mainstream does stuff. Just because they're ridiculous and wrong in everything doesn't mean they're wrong in the way that they do things.
It doesn't mean they're ineffective.
That's a much better way of saying it. Thank you. It doesn't mean they're ineffective. They're incredibly effective, and we need to work out exactly why and what they're doing. And sorry, I just got Andrew's comment there. Why they're effective, what they're doing, and then finding ways to use it for our own benefit, basically.
Yeah.
And Andrew just posted the worst comment of the night. He thinks the Alex Jones sticker has been banned on this channel. We will look into that. There is no way that it will be banned.
I've only banned one sticker ever, and it began with C, and it rhymes with hunt. So
Indeed.
We're not into doing that. I'll have a quick check on DLive. Before I do, though, I just want to catch up with the chat. Tash says, keep in mind that we tend to have some sort of relationship with a content creator because we've been following them for a while. That's a really good point.
That is true.
Actually, which of those shows would you have tuned in for? Either the subject meant something to you, or if it was something like Question Time, maybe a guest meant something to you. Like a lot of people I know tuned in for the Farage episodes.
Yeah,
because he was pushing Brexit. He was pushing for us to leave the EU. I tuned in when Farage was on. I didn't want to see all the lefty larpers and the stupid Green Party and Joe Swinson.
Who on earth tunes in thinking, oh, the Green Party are on this week, I want to watch this?
Clearly,
how much of a soy boy must they be?
Sad people, obviously. Stephen, I apologise. I've been offline all day, and I was a little
yesterday.
And all of yesterday, so I haven't seen it. But if it's something to do with the Go-Go Bar, may have heard it already. Good evening I must say hello to Lady Saxon. Sorry for missing you there. Michael's here. Good evening, Michael. English Bird says, and good evening. If you guys need to cancel because of home stuff or you're tired, we understand, don't mind. No, that's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is we need to find a way to be as effective as the mainstream.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
That's the point. These people have got an incredible amount of money and skill behind them. And it's about picking them apart and working these sort of things out.
Yeah.
Then we go
Using the
into it.
tools that are
Sorry,
used
on.
against us.
Exactly.
We've said this all along. We've got to work out what they're doing and do it better.
Yeah, we spoke about it a little before, but kind of left it there. Now it's time to take it seriously.
Blood and Braces Sir says, live comments are great. I like posting, but my heart belongs to you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Andrew. Why did you get rid of chest bashing Alex? That was so funny.
Bloody hopeless.
We've removed a sticker of Nicola Sturgeon. Who did?
What the hell is happening here?
Who's
First
the you?
off, who is this Nicola Sturgeon, and do you mean Wee Cranky?
Definitely Wee Cranky. That's a possibility, Andrew, because we haven't banned anything. Unless one of our mods had a moment.
It is very easy to do. I've done it myself a number of times. Oh, that reminds me. Sorry, Will RR just reminded me. The laughing man, the Spanish man, he died.
The what?
The laughing Spanish man. The sticker that Will just posted.
Yes.
Yeah, he died, unfortunately.
What of COVID?
No, well, I don't know. But just, in general, like he's no longer here. He is now an ex-sticker.
Well, that's incredibly sad. Stickers. Ban sticker.
We'll deal with the stickers later on.
They are so tiny. I've got a sticker removed sticker that's banned. That shouldn't be banned. Did someone ban that by mistake? And one of a flag, which I'm not unbanning. Where's the one I banned before? Why is that gone?
Pals asked me another.
A sticker removed. The sticker that has been removed.
He laughed himself to death.
I don't know. Good evening, Jonathan.
All I hope is he went out in a as comfortable way as possible. And that he enjoys the fact that he is a worldwide meme.
Thank you, English Bird. No, we understand that. There are going to be times when we are busy. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we started doing the podcasts. So that we could... There's so much we're working on. Mm-hmm. And it's not secretive or anything. It's just that we don't want... We've always tried not to tell you about things we're going to do, rather than here's something we did. So we're working on a few things. As soon as they are ready to be announced, they will be. So it's more... We'll find a way around it if we ever get that busy. But we've really noticed that people just prefer the live shows, and that's fine. And honestly, I don't know, something was a bit flat in the new year, and I think most people felt this. After the shenanigans that went on in Washington, and it just seemed like we were on a losing streak for a while, and I think it really hit everyone quite hard, us included. And we really didn't enjoy streaming for a while, not because of anything to do with anything else. It was just in and of ourselves. We just felt a bit down, a bit low. But we're back, so whatever, it passed.
I think the Tuesday podcast has actually done a lot for that.
Yeah.
Because that's something we really, really enjoy, and it doesn't really lend itself to a live stream.
If we did it as a live stream, well, look at me. I'm normally about 20 minutes behind the chat. We'd never get the shows done, would we?
Exactly. And that's one of those examples. We've tried kind of to copy what the mainstream have done. Mainstream, they have things like Panorama, for example. People like Panorama. Why? Because it is one episode, or handful of episodes, I have no bloody idea, but even so, it's one episode, it's one specific subject, that's it, done.
Yeah. I just want to say, there are no banned stickers that you have mentioned, so it must be they've been banned on DLive. So, sorry.
RIP.
Yes. Good evening, Tom. Thank you for joining us. And my stepdad's not mean. Thank you for joining us. There you go. Tash said exactly what you did. For the more serious, deeper delving topic, podcast works better, otherwise live. Yeah, when it's research heavy, I think the podcast just works better because it gives us a chance to really, as you say, delve into the topic and get the background on it. Yeah, the live laughs. This is the thing. We've always tried to have a laugh while we stream because life is pretty severe right now. So you've got to find the fun where you can. Good evening, Daffyd. Thank you for joining us.
And Roy.
Is Roy here? Oh, hey, look, I'm so behind. Oh no, I'm not. Good
No,
evening,
you're
Roy.
like 2 seconds behind.
I'm a minute behind, so I'm doing quite well. So effective communication means not just how we speak to our loved ones, but how we get the message out in any way, shape, or form. As Jordan said, we've been looking at ways to make the communication more effective. I'd like to ask all of you in the chat, actually, are there any channels you watch that have this effective communication with sort of short shareable videos or streams? Any that you could recommend that we could have a look at, maybe?
From my own personal perspective, the Ice Age Farmer is definitely one of them.
I do like the Ice Age Farmer.
In some ways, I do think Computing Forever is one of them. But I also think his content is a little bit too long form.
Yeah.
It's not quite this. There is a difference between watch this video, sit down and watch an hour, as opposed to here's a video, it's about 10 minutes long.
Well, this is one of the other reasons why we moved the Tyranny series onto podcast format and shortened it right down to make it more shareable. Well, yeah, we kind of failed last week, or this week rather, sorry. But yeah, that was the goal, so that when you're asking people to invest their time, you obviously don't want to ask for too much. You need to get them, I don't want to say hooked, that's not the right word. Engaged, maybe is a better word. And asking someone to give up 3 hours of their time is a hell of a lot, especially for a first-time viewer.
Well, it's literally, it's 2 films. When you look at it in that perspective, you're telling somebody to watch 2 films or one Lord of the Rings film.
Yeah, box set.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's at the end of the day, you can't expect somebody to sit down and put in like 18 hours of research just so they get a point.
Well, it's not just that. They may or may not like what they're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a big investment. Michael suggests Mark Dice. I love Mark Dice. He's incredibly funny. Lotus Eaters. I really don't like the fact that Sargon's basically put everything behind a paywall. Don't like that at all. But yeah. Jack Spurko. Yes. I actually found a really good video, thanks to your recommendation, Andrew, about making homesteads pay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Razor Fist is another damn good one. I agree with that, Roy.
English Will says Rotten Politics videos are quite good, 5 to 8 minutes. If we could put together a Polish video, then yes. But the thing is, I'm a tech boomer, as everyone knows, which means this all falls onto Jordan. Tash says, I've been posting CF Dave's vids for years on Facebook now. I don't think anyone watched any of them. They're really long. Dave Cullen's live streams, and that is problematic. Although he did do some short form videos, I do believe.
He did. He started to do a couple of short ones. Not many, but a number. I think he's even done a couple around about 25 minutes. So,
see, that's not so bad. It's not going to be a problem for those people who already understand what the channel's about, and they're going to watch anyway because they already know what his work is and they know what his subject is. It's to get new people on board, and this is always really going to be the goal for us. As good as we are, as close as we've become, we need more people. And more people and more people. We need to wake more people up. And that means we've got to look at this from the perspective of a first-time viewer. Michael says Vertigo politics is killer. I find some of the work, maybe not the Vertigo politics, that seems to be a little bit more uplifting or a little bit less depressing, whichever way you want to look at it. But the Felix Rex and the Black Pigeon Speaks videos are just depressing. Like the moment I switch them on, I'm just like, oh God, I can't even bear what's coming.
Well, that's everything about him. That's the way he speaks, the way he delivers his videos, the tone of his voice, the subject. It's everything compiling into everything is awful.
Yeah, but it just makes you feel like crap afterwards, and that's the problem.
Agreed. I'm trying to think. There was a channel that started up just after Brexit, or maybe just before Brexit. It was like TLDR, what happened this week sort of thing. They do bloody good videos, or they used to. I haven't watched them in a long while, but they're really good. They're about 4 or 5 minutes long.
Do you remember who the hosts are? Can you describe anyone, or?
I just vaguely know the videos. 1 second, and I'll try and find them.
Okay. Regarding Dave Cullen, since COVID they got longer. Yes, of course they did. He's been doing some fantastic work, though. And again, for those of us who know the kind of people he's interviewing and why, not a problem. It's worth the investment. We know what we're going to get. The payoff is there. For the amount of people who are going to tune in for the first time, that's going to be quite the dilemma. Are they willing to commit that much time to someone they don't know anything about? So, yeah, I think everyone should have some form of short form video, if nothing else, just to even describe what they're doing. Which is ironic because we've been talking about doing this for ages, haven't we? And we still haven't. But then, lockdown occurred and just more important things than explaining what our channel's about came up, and we focused on those.
I was correct in the name, by the way. It was TLDR News.
Oh, nice. My Stepdad's Not Mean also suggested We Got a Problem, Gothics, The Officer Tatum, Bearing, and Ex-Army Pass 49. Bearing's Australian, I believe. I think I've seen a Bearing video or two. Never heard of The Officer Tatum or Gothics. We Got a Problem. That's the one with the intro with what's her name?
Talking to
Anne Widdecombe talking to Verhofstadt about colonies, about slaves rising up. Blood and Braces, sir, says, we're not going to talk our way out of this. Our own have shafted us over by their inaction, and they have the audacity to blame the far right. Well, first of all, of course we're not going to talk our way out of this. Talking is just step one, but we do have to communicate to find out who is on board. Mm-hmm. We need to build relationships. We need to create allies and network, and that does involve talking. But if it ended there, then yes, you're right. That would be the end of it. So it's only the first stage.
It's about taking a step back to actually have a measured approach, to work out the best way to communicate and then go from there. Because otherwise everybody's just doing the same thing. They're charging in head first. And it's kind of... I understand why people do that. But it is good to take a step back and just look at it and say, okay, what are the mainstream doing that we can do?
Yeah. Oh, David has a suggestion here. Love the St. Harrison Nat video competition last year. Maybe This Is Why We Fight could promote something similar, but more apolitical. Interesting. Well, we did do something similar, didn't we? A bit earlier in the year when we asked people to make videos, like visualize the future that they want to live in. So maybe we could revisit that and see if anyone else wants to take part in that. I was a guest on St. Harrison's channel, actually. He's a lovely bloke. We had a really good chat. And he's definitely a community type person. That's a really good idea. English Bird says ex-army Paz had a rant about he doesn't like racists and none should watch his channel. These people are afraid. I don't think it's racist to want to defend your borders and protect your own people. I don't think attacking people, though, just because of the colour of their skin is very sensible. But that's kind of where I'm at now. We need allies. The whole world is going to be enslaved.
We've got bigger issues.
Yeah.
Many, many, many bigger issues right now.
And in that respect, and on that subject, those issues will still exist when we're enslaved, and they'll still exist if we win and we somehow manage to overcome this and we're not enslaved. But that's the time to deal with them. That is the time to deal with them. Because the people doing the things that we don't like are being enabled by the people we've elected into government. Those are the people right now allowing all of this. And that is the biggest threat to us right now. The government, any big government, is a threat to us. Because big government wants us all to do exactly as we're told, to not question anything, to be good little compliant sheep. Take the vaccine, wear the mask, stay at home, open your windows, close your windows, go outside, go back inside.
Left, right, left, right, left, right.
And for the majority of people who still defend the government, that is a problem.
Yeah, this is basically what the Tuesday episode is about. The one coming up. It is... I'm trying to work out ways to phrase this that doesn't require people watching that to understand. Help me. 1 minute, I'm going to get there.
Well, while you're thinking, I'm just going to say this. The problems that this government have been allowed by this government.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a case of focusing on the symptoms and not the cause. The symptoms, the fallout from the decisions made by this and previous governments are there for most of us to see, but not all of us. But it comes down to, I suppose, the traitor or the enemy. And if you're going to focus on a target, better you go after the traitor. Because while the traitors are in power, you will always have enemies.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take care of the traitors, nothing will change. And we've two options with the traitors. We can either remove the traitors, maybe that day will come, who knows? Or we can live right now as though they don't exist to the best of our ability. Or at least create, as we've said, these parallel communities where we live and work with as much freedom as we can create for ourselves and each other. Whatever is coming, and there's plenty coming, how we deal with that is the most pressing issue we've got. And I'm sorry to say this, but it needs to be said. 2066 is nothing if we do not survive 2023. That's my focus, the next 2 years. COVID marshals, lockdowns, passports, trust networks, social credit systems are more of a concern to me right now than anything else. And I would hope that would be the same for most people. Stephen, I genuinely know nothing about this. Do you know anything about this, Jordan? French generals and the military coup? No, I'm afraid, sorry. I don't know. Not left, not right, in the middle. Thank you for joining us. And Space Hopper Mark, good evening.
I've given up on trying to reframe the question, or the thought that I had earlier on. We can move on beyond that. It was basically to underpin your point in that we need to we need to move the conversation on from things that don't matter towards things that do. Your average person, for whatever reason, they're still debating left and right, and they're going on about nonsense with the lockdowns and things like that. The real question should be that we start putting to people: should the government be able to do any of this?
Yeah.
As soon as you get someone to admit, no, the government shouldn't be able to do any of this, I have a very strong feeling things will become much easier, much quicker.
Yeah, of course they will.
Because you've kind of cut their legs out from under them. Now they're not able to argue with you on whatever completely stupid, made-up, fanciful point they have. They then just have to face the reality in that, yes, they agree with you, the government shouldn't be able to do any of this in the first place. As soon as they see that, suddenly they're not going to argue about whether there should be a third lockdown or there shouldn't be a third lockdown or any of that nonsense. It's the government shouldn't be able to do any of this in the first place.
And everything they do ultimately harms us. Mm-hmm. And again, if we have to focus on a battle, let's make sure it's the right one. The most pressing one is 2023. The most pressing issue we have to deal with is the fact that our government has almost gone full tyranny. Almost.
But how much more does it have to go?
Well, at the moment, you can still go out to work without a COVID passport. You can still drive your car anywhere you want to go. That will change. I watched a fantastic video on the social credit system in China. I'm almost tempted to upload it here tonight just to show you exactly how bad things are and how willing these people are to accept almost zero privacy for security. This is the precipice that we're on now. A lot of people are accepting this lack of privacy. We covered that article a few weeks ago by that Tom.
The arch debater.
Yeah, who said, you know, we've just got to withstand this tyranny for a few months, and then we'll all have freedom again, and we'll all go back to normal. We'll never go back to normal unless we fight for it. But we've got to choose the battle. We've got to... There's so few of us actively pushing for people to wake up and smell the coffee, smell the roses, whatever you want to use. It really is incumbent on those of us who know what's going on to share that information with others. So we really, really do need to start nailing the delivery. David says, we've been divided. The battle now is to come together, even with people we don't quite agree with. Yeah, absolutely. After we win, then we can resolve all the other issues we have. But for now, we need to work with people who are willing to work with us. People who are fighting the same enemy. Our enemy is the government. They want all of us to be silent and accepting of our fate. They want us to be apathetic and wretched and depressed and like
aimless,
zombies, really.
Drifting through life, not actually doing much.
Watching television, taking orders. I suppose when it comes down to it, people are always going to throw words around to shut down an argument. Why give them that opportunity? There is actually a problem here that everyone can see is a problem for them. A problem in common. We never really had a problem in common before. And if we don't utilise this opportunity, that would be a terrible waste.
It would be really, really, really interesting to get some of the crazy, absurd leftists and see if they think the government should have the level of control it's exerting at the moment. I reckon some of them would. I think among the younger ones, especially those who've been to university and that sort of ilk, will know what they're like. I think they would be okay with it. But I think the older ones, the likes of Dennis Skinner, I don't think they would. I think they'd be very unhappy with this as well.
I'm going to try and find that video that I was talking about earlier. Let me see if I can find it.
Was it the one that you sent to me?
No, unfortunately, no. Keep talking.
Oh, right, no, sorry. I
found
was
it.
waiting. I was thinking you were uploading something, but fair enough.
I am actually about to.
So Francis says, the enemy has had so much success, but it's such a loony. Unnatural agenda, it can't last. That's another thing to keep in mind. What they want to do is so incredibly unnatural that it just doesn't have a hope in hell, ultimately. In the long run, they don't stand any chance. The difference is whether we do something about it now or whether we wait for future generations to do something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but I think it's a little bit boring to wait for other people to do it, and I'd rather do it myself. It sounds fun. I want to make them jealous.
Well, it's a lot of pressure to put on one person. This is why we've been saying all along, the only people who are going to save us are us. And we can't rely on one person to step up and do everything. And it's an impossible task anyway.
Exactly. Consider it a life's work. There you go. This is something we can all actively work towards. Rather than being bored, we can come up with stuff. We can come up with ideas. Whether it be building small things, whether it be talking to people, doesn't matter what it is. We can just all collectively push the boulder up the hill. And eventually it will become lighter and start going downhill in the correct way.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen says, Joe, less than 2% of the population of Ireland put us British out in the 1916 uprising. Why can't Britain do the same? Because Ireland didn't have a government working against it. Well, it did, but not its own government. I'm going to mention this real quick and then I'm going to play this video. Jonathan says, everyone please go to your local park or closest park for Stand Up in the Park. This is every Sunday between 10 and 11 in the morning. This is all across the UK. There is a link. In fact, Andrew, there's a group that's posting links of parks that are setting this up. But whether you can find this group, whether you are on Telegram, it doesn't matter. Go to your local park, take your family. Go and breathe some fresh air and watch children playing. It's wonderful.
Go for a picnic. Kick a ball around. Do something.
Do something just wonderful. Yeah. Be free.
And especially now that the weather's starting to become nice. We can just blend in.
Blending in. That's an amazing... Imagine that. Imagine that we're sitting here. When you think back to 2019, the end of the year, imagine sitting here nearly a year and a half later thinking, oh, I wonder if I can go to my park without a face covering this year. What an amazingly dystopian nightmare we've stumbled into. Right, I'm going to play a video for you all. I hope the sound works. I've just uploaded it. So let's see.
You showing off with this super fast internet of yours is ridiculous.
Hey, look, I can't take credit for it.
1 minute. Before you play this, I just have to tell chat. The other day, I went to take a picture of something to show Joe. In the amount of time it took for me to get up from my laptop, open the door, get my phone out, take a picture of it, send it to her, and sit back down, she had uploaded the entire Tuesday episode.
And downloaded it.
And downloaded. Sorry, I forgot that fact. She also downloaded it. The internet speed she has is ridiculous.
Well, the thing is, I've clearly got more hamsters than you. Okay, right. Let's have a look at this video. This is our future if we don't fight back. Here we go. Let's hope this works.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Hao-yu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Hao-yu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
这个是针对
Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Huijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News.
Welcome to 1984 on both crack and many, many other drugs. What the hell is that?
You know what? You know what the weirdest thing about that is the woman who's paid to report on her neighbours. She's 10 entries. They've even set a quota for it.
There's so much on that was just exceptionally creepy. How about no, China? How about you stop? Even for the Chinese, this is too damn far. People think that the Chinese are just this way because of communists. They're not. The Chinese have always been this way. They've always sacrificed everything for safety and security. As soon as... Sorry, I can't speak English. That was very racist of me. As soon as they... in the past, as soon as their king, their emperor, their warlord, whatever they had, started to show a little bit of weakness and there was starting to be a few too many hordes on the horizon, they went ape. I can't say that word. They just flew off the handle and they got rid of them. And then they clamped down with more government and more government and more government. This is their mentality. It has been their mentality for a long, long, long while. That's why this ridiculous system will continue there basically forever, as far as I see. But this is nothing to do with us. Christ.
This is the ultimate goal for big government.
Mm-hmm.
And I say big government, and I'm kind of being facetious, because all of our governments are under control of another group. And they're just puppets and cowardly quislings at this point. But that said, this is still the goal. The goal is ultimate power and control. Mm-hmm. Space Hopper Mark, I don't have a link for this. I just grabbed this off of Telegram. If you're on Telegram, though, what I'll do is I'll pop this video into the This Is Why We Fight channel, if you're there. If not, I'll try and get it uploaded onto Discord.
I believe One Easy Money has put a link to it on their channel as well.
Oh, great. If you could share that link, please.
If I've got the system, or not the system, if I've got the messages in order, I'm pretty certain that's what they're replying to. As much as this sort of thing isn't anything to do with us, we may be having the Digital Trusted Network thing coming up.
Yes.
We did cover that a couple of weeks ago. We're going to follow it and see what they do. If they bring it in, it will eventually turn into this social credit thing that we're seeing in China. The good news is that sort of thing is so incredibly unnatural for us. It's so morally repugnant to us that I can't see them getting away with it.
Yeah, but
Even
they'll ease it in like they do with everything else. You know, it was just a few weeks. It's just a mask. It's just a vaccine. It's there you go, Space Hopper Mark. I'm just posting the link. That's our Telegram. If you want to go on there, you can grab the video from there.
while I agree with that, I do think there will eventually be a straw that breaks the camel's back, and people will say, "No, we've had enough of you people. Go away."
Yeah, but okay, I do agree. But are you talking about the same people who agreed to the masks to stay
Oh,
indoors?
I don't think them. I just think the average person who kind of really don't like the mask but put up with it. That sort of person will eventually swap over, especially if we can start working out how to communicate efficiently. Start talking about these things. Start saying, things like the digital trusted network. If we can start putting that in front of people's faces, start getting them to see that. If we can start getting them to say, no, you know what, the government has enough power, that's it.
Yes. I do agree. The people who, I'm going to call them, let's say neutrals for now, people who are undecided, people who haven't bought into what's being sold, but they haven't quite rejected it yet. I think for those people, this would be massive overreach. And yes, I think it would have the desired effect. But I don't think it's going to be a short, sharp shock because they've had too many people turn away from what's been presented to them because they did it quickly. And they tried to do it. It's just a few weeks. It's just a few months. It's just one lockdown. And too many people have seen through it. The only way for this to happen now is to do it incrementally, and they don't have time. So I don't know how they would find a way to do that, where people would accept this. The digital trust network is already being rolled out. We know this. The passport system is already being rolled out. In fact, I read something. There's an airport and another organisation that's already been running it. And they're going to use test and trace as the model for it. So everyone who already downloaded the app has already bought into this idea of being surveilled by the government. So I don't know. I'm very concerned that the only way they're going to be able to short, sharp shock this one is if we're under another national lockdown or worse when it's rolled out.
But then that opens up the door to the conversation of, should government even be able to do this?
Well, no, they shouldn't be able to do any of the things they've done in the last 14 months. But
exactly, that's the pushing point. That's the pressure point.
No one's holding them to account.
Exactly. Nobody, as far as I can see anyway, nobody's actually asking that question. Should the government be able to do this? They're just kind of batting back and forth between whether they're effective or various other nonsense phrases like that. And by nobody, I don't mean us lot. I mean nobody in the mainstream, nobody that people would reasonably be expected to know and hear about.
English Birds, it took 40 years for East Germany to stand up. Well, East Germany is a different thing, isn't it? I mean, first of all, their country was split. I mean, you could argue that's the same here. But there were different factors in place. They didn't have the internet for starters, and while I hate the internet in some aspects, in some respects, we've never had better access to information and the ability to share it.
The thing is, as well, we've never had them, the government, the establishment, we've never had them say in black and white in front of us what their plans are. Nowadays, they're doing it. Could you imagine?
They're not even trying to hide it anymore, are they? And that's another plus for us.
Exactly. Could you imagine 30 years ago coming up against something such as the Nudge Unit and then finding that they've actually written a document where they go into detail on this Mindspace thing? You wouldn't be able to find that document for love nor money. They probably would never have published it for release. They would have kept it hidden away somewhere, just an internal document. Nowadays, they're just putting it out online. You can go find it.
I still wonder, though, here's a question for you and the chat. Are they being supremely arrogant and just thinking that they're untouchable at this point? Or, based on the kind of feedback they're getting from the sheep, are they thinking that they're going to get away with it because they think they have enough people on board with their plans?
I think it's something slightly different. I think where they've created their little group of weirdos, the Antifa lot, the extreme far leftists, where they've created their own little group of weirdos, are trying to get their attention. So they're coming up through university, they're getting jobs with various people, such as this Mindspace department, who at the start employed almost all recently graduated from university people. They were a very, very young group,
Handpicked.
apparently.
Yeah.
They were handpicked as well. These sort of people, they hear through the grapevine that these jobs are out there. They're then going out to look for them. The best way to find those jobs is to go and start working for a company, such as like a think tank, basically, and start putting out papers that they believe these entities in government would like to hear. The problem is, they are correct in that the government does eventually hear them and they do eventually suck them up and employ them. But it also gives the game away. It enables us to see at least a little bit of what they are doing. I think that's what's happening. I think they've created a beast and they can't really control it, because now they've got all these students going out there, going to work for private companies, can do whatever the hell they feel like, and they're kind of giving the game away a little bit.
Well, it's interesting. Their recruitment process is actually grooming.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what they're... I mean, these kids, and they are kids, they have the mentality of children. We've seen Antifa, out in public with adults, and it's night and day by comparison. And it is envy.
Mm-hmm.
It is envy. These leftists, the hard left I'm talking about. I don't know why we're still using left and right, but it's the quickest
we
way
know
to
what they
describe
mean.
them. And you all know what I mean when I say leftist. Antifa types. These people are invariably mentally ill. And there is a lot of envy. I saw a fantastic video on this years ago. I must find it. It's only a 5-minute video. These people are infantilized. They're childlike. They've been given everything all their lives. They've never been told no. They've never had any competition. Everything has been easy for them because their parents are cucks. And they've gone to university, and guess what? Their tutors are cucks. Except what they're actually doing is grooming them for recruitment to activism. And these people have envy for this reason. They've gone to university, they've got into a lifetime's worth of debt, and they're getting jobs at McDonald's when they finish. And they look down their noses at people who don't speak particularly well, maybe don't have the same academic performance record, who go into a trade, and while these students are working at McDonald's on admin wage, you've got people who are plumbers and pipe fitters and boiler engineers, and I'm talking about the real trades here, carpenters, and they're on like 30 odd grand a year. It's pure envy. It's not just envy, it's resentment. How dare you, who is so inferior to me, do better than I do? They want to shape the world by force to suit how they'd like it to be, because they are life's losers and degenerates and outsiders. They'll never be a part of bigger society. And when you have a few select groups that will take anyone, no matter how degenerate they behave, no matter how weird they appear, they're all going to come together. Of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to hate when you've already spent your whole life hating. And that's the difference between us and them. All they can do is hate. And that's why we win.
What you said there about the way they speak to us and the way they speak about us, that is summed up perfectly in these documents that we're finding.
Yeah.
The way these people speak about us in their things like the Mindspace and East and various other bits and bobs like that, it's like we're animals in a zoo to these people. The humble government just needs to nudge these plebs into making slightly better decisions. decisions that will benefit us on the whole. That's how they speak. And there's so many examples of that.
Yeah, the utter disdain. I mean, you've only got to go back to the Brexit debacle and look at the Remainer versus Leaver arguments, and I was going to say banter, but it was nasty. It wasn't banter. Just the kind of the put downs. And we were all called what? Uneducated, low class, can't speak properly, can't spell properly. You know, we were called losers. It was so much projection.
It's kind of ironic how, once again, the worst things you ever saw about the Ramonas was basically that they were Europhiles, that they didn't want to be their own independent nation, that they were scared. That was basically about as far as the insults went. Them towards us, on the other hand, those university students who really, really wanted to stick into the EU and just despise the gammons like nobody's business, they were just outright nasty. Like with the old people, we just wait for the old people to die, then we vote again. Now, magically, got to protect the old people. lock everyone down. We got to protect the old people. Can't have them dying.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the problem we've got is to fight any sort of external enemy, you need to be unified, and we're just not. I'm talking about the whole nation. It's not unified at all. Roy says they've already started to turn on each other, which is a good sign. It also shows that some of them may actually have the ability to think for themselves, which is a very good sign. Yeah, gammons, there you go, Daffyd. I forgot about that one. How could I forget that one? Good evening, Board Troll.
Talking of gammon, I was out in the garden today. Got a little bit of sunburn going on here. I'm not quite gammon stage, but it is a little bit weird considering I was wearing big old aviators.
I never really got the gammon thing. What are they saying? That we all smell like pork and turn pink in the summer?
No. It's because they all sit on a beach in Lanzarote and get burnt.
I don't go to Lanzarote.
No, neither do I. I don't go anywhere. I don't like foreign places.
Oh, wow. You're taking my Little Englander title there. I don't know what to say.
I'm just saying, why go somewhere foreign where instead you could not?
Boost your own economy.
Exactly.
So that the government can raise taxes and take more money from you. The reality is, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, even with regard to holidaying at home, as they say, because all of these holiday companies are now owned by foreign companies, by foreigners. So it may be like a caravan in your back garden, if that's allowed. What are you laughing at, Jordan? Bacon froggies, full Muttley.
No, it was full Muttley.
I thought so.
I've still got this blasted cough. I don't know why. It refuses to go anywhere. It even refuses to be a real cough. It's ridiculous. It's affecting my laugh. I don't like it.
Well, that's because you keep doing the Muttley. That's probably what's killing your throat.
No, it's not my throat. I don't know what's wrong. It's weird. It won't go away. It won't even be a real cough. Just be a real cough. All is fine.
It takes real skill, to pull off a Muttley. The blue-head people are real nasty. Look, this is the thing. Okay, so getting back to left versus right, if we're going to use that dynamic. And I'm very right-wing in my views. I used to believe that welfare should exist, and now I'm thoroughly convinced it shouldn't.
I see. I pulled you over.
Well, I did just say for widows and people who've had life-changing accidents, but even that, no. We look after our people when they go through those things. We don't need to be compelled to do it. But I will say, whatever your thoughts are about the left, their recruitment's amazing.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget, of course, they have all of the influence, they have all of the money. So take those two things away. they do have the platforms to get their message across, but I still think the delivery of their message is working somehow in a way that we haven't yet found. So,
One of the big issues is our position requires strength. Like, as you just said, neither you or I get down with welfare. Not that we can do anything to change it, but it's not something that we agree with. To take that position, you have to be strong mentally at the very least to know that when times are tough, it's 100% on you. Their position, on the other hand, is effectively appealing to people's weakness. That's what they do. They appeal to people's weakness and they say, you could be this weak one day. You don't want to be weak, do you? No, but you need to join us and you'll be strong. We make sure you're strong. We make sure you're okay.
or they could be saying, they could be embellishing those weaknesses and saying, what are you going to do without the state welfare program? We've got to look after all people equally because we want to be treated equally. We can't go around in public being freaks if we're separate from the rest of the population. Everything they've done is projection. They've taken the worst aspects of themselves and they've projected it onto everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They want everyone to be accepted as the same so that they can be accepted as the same. The problem we've got is that we are, by comparison, extremely normal. And normal is passé now. They can't have the norm. There's no norm anymore because norm means normal and they are outside of it. They are abnormal. David says it used to be a safety net, now it's a career choice. It's a lifestyle choice as well. We know there are generations of people who have raised children on welfare. Basic welfare is good, says English Will, but today it's just nonsense. I still think state-mandated welfare is a bad idea. I think if we had real communities that looked after each other, that cared about each other, welfare wouldn't even come into the equation, because if somebody fell on hard times, we would just look after them.
Exactly. We always manage to get by.
An English Bird says the obvious. They don't have children to look after them when they're older. This is another issue. They must have the state. For them, the state is both the parent and the child. Good evening, Dee Dee. Yeah, the state is both the parent and the child. They can't. Their community is such a mishmash of freaks and weirdos. There's nothing there to bond them, except their hatred of everything else. That's the only thing they have in common, is that they hate everything normal and decent. And we love things that are normal and decent. That's why we do what we do. And we love freedom. But I think this does come down to personal responsibility, as you said. You know, when we talk about freedom, living as though there were no government, big or small, that means you are responsible for when the times are good and you are responsible for when times are bad. And that's a very scary concept for many people. And it's not because they're weak or cowardly, it's because they have lived their whole lives with that crutch there, that safety net. And now suddenly they've got to start imagining life without it. And they're in that middle ground, maybe quite a few of them, where they don't quite have the community yet, but they know that the state needs to be rejected. This is why we've got to help people build community. This is why we've got to share the message and talk to people. But we have to be effective. We can't focus on all the bad things that are coming. We need to focus on the good things we should have. When you're talking to people, I would definitely focus on the things they care about, but I would also focus on the things you know they want. When they talk about things like, oh, do you remember last year when we went down to that beach? You could say to them, well, that's not happening, is it? You're going to need a COVID passport to do that this year. But as Jordan says, the main question is, when somebody talks to you about towing the government line, ask them that question. Who decided that the government has the right to do this?
When were we ever asked?
Do you think the government has the right to do this? Because people have died because of these lockdowns. People's livelihoods have been destroyed. Their children are being psychologically abused. Who gave them the right to do this? And we were never asked. They never asked for our permission. There was no public consultation. There was no referendum. There was no announcement. There was no discussion. Nothing. They decided. They knew best. They took it upon themselves to use their authority over us.
Yeah, they're just
public
too far in their own
servants.
self-importance.
If we can get people to start questioning the behaviour of the government, everything else will fall into place. We just don't have enough people or time to fight everything right now. And if we have to choose one battle, let's make it count. And right now, the fight is for our freedom, liberty, the right to open a business, go for a drive, hug your parents. You know, some of these things are forbidden now. But when you see people walking along with children in masks, that should be enough to wake everyone up. And if it's not, something is desperately wrong. Or maybe people are just afraid to speak out because they don't feel that they have the support that they need. We have to be that support.
It's the latter. I'm absolutely convinced it's the latter. People are just staying silent because they're islands at the moment. They don't realise that almost everybody agrees with their position in that what's going on at the moment is insane. There may be a lot of people kind of bowing down and taking the vaccine. That's one argument. Fine. Annoying, but it is what it is. I really don't think there's terribly many people who think the way the government has just clamped down on everything, shut down all the businesses and told people basically tough cookie. I don't think many people agree with that.
Well, if they mandate vaccines for children, the way I see it is this. If you think the government has the right to put things in your child's body, where's that going to end? We already know that there are a bunch of paedophiles. We already know that they have been poisoning us for years in our food and our water. We know that they waste our money on stupid ideas that usually don't come to fruition. We know that they claim perks. We know that they're corrupt. We know this. Mm-hmm. We know that they're so corrupt that they have imposed a lockdown on us after downgrading the pandemic. Everyone knows this because this is public knowledge. So why on earth are people listening to them when it comes to the health and the health of their children and how they behave in private?
This is something they've done a really good job at because they very rarely have ministers stand there and tell people what to do. They wheel out the experts. What we need to start getting people to see is that, yes, these people are, quote unquote, experts. They know what they're going on about, apparently, allegedly. But these people have been selected by the ministers. They're basically just mouthpieces for whatever the government wants to say. It just so happens that at this moment in time, what these crazy scientists want to say and what the government wants them to say, they kind of coalesce nicely. As soon as one of these scientists starts saying, maybe we should ease the lockdown or things like that, that scientist that was standing there delivering the daily updates for the previous X number of months will be moved on to something else.
Yeah. Be replaced by the conformist.
Exactly. That's what will happen. As soon as they start to break ranks, they'd be moved on to something else. And there'd be a fancy way of doing it. They say, due to his wonderful services over the years, he's now been promoted to whatever. He's being made in charge of this department. And it'll be a little nothing department that they've just shoved him in front of and given him a healthy paycheck and said, there you go, shut up. Or created, that's more than likely.
I will say, I just want to read this out from David. They've dumbed down the population enough to believe their lies. I do agree with that, just to some degree. I will say, though, that I do think Jordan's right. A lot of people would speak, but they're afraid People obviously still have too much to lose, or rather they think they're alone. Might be one, might be the other. But at the end of the day, whistleblowers used to be protected. It was built into our legislation. And now they're attacked.
That's interesting. Actually, it's a good point when you put it that way. If it was a whistleblower for somebody, say, I don't know, Asda, you used to work at Asda and you're a whistleblower, you say, oh, the way that Asda handle their chicken isn't good. The media would all gather around that person and say, oh, we've got to protect him. Veil of anonymity and all of that. We've got to protect this person. They've done a wonderful service. Meanwhile, if you work for the NHS and you come out and say something, hey, you're a crackpot, you're a loon, you don't know what you're on about.
Well, that's exactly the point. They undermine their professional credentials. They make something up about them on a personal level, and they are dismissed. And that never used to happen. Jonathan says, that's why I do what I do in my community, building a future for our people. It's interesting, isn't it, Jonathan? You've been networking with various groups. But none of those groups knew that the others existed until you brought them all together. And that's exactly the point we're making. There are people everywhere who feel the way that we do, who have come to understand what's really going on the way we have, but they don't know that the other groups exist. And that really is the key, I think, to us being successful.
We're all little ships in the ocean surrounded by fog.
Yeah, we've got to find each other. That's what this year is about. Numbers. Because numbers equals safety, security, community. It's support. It's a support network. And for many of us, that support network that we should have had on our doorstep or within our homes is not always there. We're going to have to work for it, and it will be work.
Agreed.
But it will be worthwhile.
Can you put Rob's comment up on the screen, please?
Like you think I'm up to date. Hang on, I'll find it.
To be fair, you're not far behind.
Tom says, I'm getting there. This is why Blair government pushed for everyone possible to go to university. I was the first person in my family to go to university. And I remember them pushing, working class families never get a chance. Well, they wanted us all in there to be manipulated and go through some conformity training.
I have a question for you. Are you a communist now?
No, I hate them all.
Good. I'm glad. The brainwashing didn't work on you. Anyway, Rob has brought up a good question here. Or not a question, a point. People don't want to admit they've been duped, that there is something sinister going on. I agree. And this is why I think it's really imperative that we start pushing the idea that government shouldn't be able to do any of this. Because then it completely takes the blame off of that person. It's no longer, oh, you were pro-vaccine, now you're anti-vaccine. You were pro-lockdown, now you're not pro-lockdown. You've changed the argument completely. You've reframed it. Their previous positions don't matter because you've cut away at an underpinning support of all of it. What the government is doing is wrong. End of. Whatever positions they held previously, completely irrelevant. They've now come to this position. What the government is doing is wrong. Everything they believed previously, everything they said and did previously is washed away. Doesn't matter.
I will say, though, from the other angle of Rob's comment, the people who do know something's wrong but have dug their heels in so much will double down because they won't ever admit that they were wrong. Maybe they have gone too far to walk it back, like, I don't know, vaccinating their children or putting masks on their children. Oh, my God, I saw a picture on Telegram. Can't remember when, yesterday or day before, and it was just a freeze frame of someone. And I don't know which country it was. I think America, possibly, because it seemed to be set in a massive shopping centre. And it was a woman. She had 2 dogs, and they were wearing masks. The dogs. And when I say they were wearing masks, I mean obviously they didn't put the mask on. She did. Idiot. Daffyd says, the media never like to criticise potential advertisers. That's why feeding us horse meat is forgiven in minutes. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Who lost their job over that? No one.
Let's put it this way. Nobody important lost their job over that. Without a doubt, some food inspectors lost their job, and that would be about it.
Yeah, they would have pulled a Weinstein, wouldn't they? Just offer someone up to lose their job, be moved somewhere else or demoted, and then everyone else just carries on doing what they're doing. My Stepdad's Not Mean says people prefer the comfort of denial because that means they don't have to rely on themselves. I do think that that's a possible position that people are taking. When we talk about going back to communities and living free, to coin a phrase, that's a massive amount of personal responsibility. And people have just become so used to sitting on their backsides watching TV and have the state pay for it.
But this is what I said. This is the thing that we can slowly chip away. We can slowly chip away at this by getting people to admit that what the government is doing in the first place is wrong anymore.
Yes. DDJ says, I'm saving up to be a communist. You'll never have enough money. And by the way, it'll be someone else's money. So, yeah. Roy Bob says, shackled by debt equals subservient to the system. Exactly. That's what all the debt is about. And boy, are we going to have some debt to pay off after this debacle that we've had for 14 months. I said this actually when we were recording that podcast. I feel desperately sorry for young people. What have they inherited? Because everything is going to go up now. Taxes, VAT, everything. Even though they were pretty damn mean to old people during Brexit, but not all of them. Yeah, brainwashing, Kaz. I do agree. This is why they pick them out of university. It's like a process they go through. They brainwash them and then they handpick them. They are grooming them for activism and subservience. Okay, good night, Jonathan. Have a good evening.
I saw that Monty Don was leaving.
How woke is it now? I'd love to know.
It's pretty woke from what I've seen.
Oh, come on. Colonel Custard says, I saw a video clip of a man in a swimming pool swimming with a mask on. How does that work?
I think we've seen the same video. There was this man who was doing the butterfly and he was just kind of bobbing up and down. Why? I have no idea. Like, you're literally swimming around in people's sweat and urine. Ugh. And you worry about a mask. Like, come on, lad.
That's true. All the chlorine fumes would kill you off, if nothing else.
If you can still smell the chlorine, I hate to tell you this, but the mask ain't working.
Well, I want to know how you're gulping enough air to do your breaststroke.
You know.
Exactly. Distant 101
if
says...
nothing else... Sorry, one second. If nothing else, he's basically waterboarding himself. That's amazing. I've never thought of that.
Dissident 101 says, I let my dog wear a mask, but I draw the line when he's driving the car. Good on you, Dissident 101. It's a nice little quote from Andrew there. No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee.
I like that.
I've seen this as well, Andrew. I've seen pictures of mostly women, shame on you women, letting the team down, in a car with a mask on and a visor with all the windows up.
Good God. I have seen a woman, sorry, not a woman. I don't know where I got the idea of a woman, no. I've seen a man driving a van do it, and it was the weirdest thing. Because it was not the image you expect. You think, white van man driver. We all know what they're like. They're normal, down-to-earth people. I never expected that. It was disturbing.
English Bird says, wasn't there a student in America, class at the finish line... Hang on, I've messed this up. Wasn't there a student in American... Oh, an American class? No, you're going to have to
rewrite that. No, I can't get that either. Redo that, love.
Collapsed at the finish line running because she wore a mask. Is that what you meant to say?
Yes,
I know when you're in the comments, you type so fast. So she collapsed because she was wearing a mask because she couldn't get enough oxygen into her lungs. Amazing.
Good.
Sorry, English Bird. I completely
hope she collapses again.
Rob says the visors are hilarious. I saw a video of some guy. He's made like a terrarium that he wore on his shoulders. Did I ever send you that video?
I think you did. He looked like Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, with the plants. He's got plants in it so that they're creating oxygen and they're feeding off of his carbon dioxide. And he's walking around and everyone's saying, oh, that's a great idea. And I'm like, oh my God, kill me now. Right,
Can't
I'm
find a
just
picture
checking.
of it.
Angie says, just ask them where the strimmer is. Exactly, Stephen. Great idea, driving a vehicle while reducing oxygen to the brain. Well,
I want to know.
I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? There was not enough oxygen going to the brain. Maybe these people are wearing masks to cover up the fact that they didn't have enough oxygen before going to their brains.
I would like to know, if they got into a crash, what would happen? Because if you're starved enough of oxygen, you do kind of end up in a position where you're basically drink driving. Your brain isn't getting enough oxygen, not enough blood is going through it properly. What happens if you crash into someone because you're wearing a mask? Will the insurance company say, wait a minute, you were probably desperately starved of oxygen, we're not covering you?
Yeah. Before I put your picture up, I'm just going to quickly go to this comment from Tom. To write off personal debt and have us own nothing and be happy, we first need all to be crippled in debt, then we will ask for it. Oh, that's the plan. Yes, that is the plan. Yeah, well said. Okay.
Yeah, the Canadian geezer said that.
Oh, you found it. That's
I told you I
amazing.
found it.
That must be so heavy.
Could you imagine having this many plants? It's a shame Jonathan left already. He could tell us what.
Mental health plants is what they are. Plants for the mentally ill.
Where is he?
There was a video.
I have a feeling he looks a little Spanish. Hey, senor. Hey, amigo. Look at my plant. I don't know why he became Mexican. He became Speedy Gonzalez. Sorry about that.
This is a good point that Roy raises. If you have the jab, bearing in mind there are side effects, bearing in mind it's still in its experimental phase, so nobody actually knows what the long-term effects are you insured to drive? Are you legally allowed to drive?
I don't think so. This has not been answered. I don't think you would, but it's going to be bloody interesting.
Thank you, Lady Saxon.
Be hilarious when a bee gets in there.
Well, I think the point is that nothing's getting in, is it? I sincerely hope something that buzzes though and flies does get in there. Like maybe while he's having something to eat or drink. I have to ask the obvious question. What's he going to do when he gets an itch?
He's going to take it off and scratch.
Is that a gap on the side there above his, or is that a bit of leaf? Is there a gap in the perspex?
Do you mean like around here?
Yeah. Or is that some of the plant?
I think it's a plant.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit hard to tell.
Oh my God. Colonel Custard says, did you see the music teacher who insisted the kids in the band wore masks, but they had little holes cut in the front so they could blow their instruments? That's amazing.
I did. One sec, I'll see if I can find a picture of that.
Oh, Roy Bob suggests it's rosemary and thyme.
It kind of looks a bit like it. It's certainly a woody plant.
I'm not sure if he's trolling, Tash, to be honest, but there is a video to accompany this where he's walking around and people are praising him. So who knows?
Right, 1 minute. Here is a picture of an instrument-playing man with his instrument-proof mask.
What's the point?
It's working wonders.
That trombone's got a better mask than him. Look, it's even put a mask on the trombone. I'm joking, of course. Utterly ridiculous. Oh, my God.
What's wrong with you people?
So she does realise that she's blowing potential COVID lurgies out through the other end of that saxophone.
God, there's loads of one. I'm just going to get the entire bloody thing. There are loads of it. What is wrong with people? Do you not engage the brain cell when you wake up in the morning? Excuse GIMP mask. I don't understand it either. Here it is.
I believe you said GIMP. I never say GIMP.
You liar.
It's my new favourite insult. Okay, yeah, that's ridiculous. I just have to mention something. Now, see, Fearless Bears just triggered me. So, there's a couple of things I want to share with the chat. Now, you've never seen these before, I'm sure. Okay, here's number one. Boom! Stop sending this. It's not me, says Greta. Look at you smoking it up.
You ruined it.
But honestly, that expression, that's amazing. And then, of course, Greta's still quite young. So we thought, what about future Greta? Boom! She's going to be saying that until she's whatever age she is there, about 140 by the looks of it. There you go. Just had to share that with the chat. I hope you enjoyed. Right, there's a few comments here. Philomena says, what the hell? No, bring it back.
Oh, no, I've already closed
No,
it.
put it back.
It's son of a gun. Oh,
Andrew says that looks like something from a sex shop.
I think it is. I don't know what the hell Google is doing. Let's find it again.
Tom says, I saw an orchestra, each person wearing mini clear tent things. Can't put that one up, Roy Bob, but very funny. COVID in B flat, says Daffyd. Roy says, if Andrew has gone, it's safe to say Gim. Oh, that's mean. COVID lurgies. Yes, Sir Francis, that's the technical term. Glad you appreciate my humour. One easy money. That must be the comment of the night. I prefer these people to use plastic bags over their heads. And Daffyd says that Greta photo should be your thumbnail forever. I've got 3 to choose from now. I don't know what to do. There we go. That is awful.
It's disturbing. It's just disturbing.
Oh, this is great from Philomena. Now you win, comment of the night. We stole her oxygen. Yeah, Greta, how do you feel about your childhood now when your oxygen's at risk? Yeah, I hate that so much. Why is he cross-eyed?
That's the most disturbing part of this. I don't like it at all. I don't know.
Andrew says we should force people who wear masks outside to walk around in GIMP masks.
Look at all these musical instrument players. What the heck is happening here? What is on her head?
What are they? Plastic ears? Music enhancing something. Right, go back to the top.
What do you mean the top?
The top of the group of photos, please. Right, that guy, the second one. I'm not being funny. He looks like his nose has an erection. Is all I'm going to say. What is going on? I do not like that
There's
at all.
too much to say.
I do not like that at all.
There is far too much to say about this one. Where was this mask made?
I hate that. Old Mother Earth, good evening. You joined at maybe the worst possible time.
No. It's still better than what was previously going on.
Well, that's true. Roy Bob says, eye bleach was made for this. I do agree.
Right, 1 minute. Before we carry on or wrap up, whatever we're going to do, I don't know. Here is this weird article. Hungarian orchestra conductor invents music-enhancing face mask. Why?
Oh, God, those are hands behind her
Oh,
ears.
my. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, I don't know.
You've got massive logos.
And why is she wearing glasses but there's no glass?
Because it's there to provide support for the weird ears.
Oh, no, I hate all of that. Oh, Jordan, you have to click on that link in red.
No, one minute. We'll get onto that in a second.
I think they deserve more than a slap award at this point, Roy. I'm afraid.
I got this idea that it should look like a hand Because when we put our hands here, he said, crumpling his palms around his ear, we always understand the other person easier. But there's a much better way of understanding other people. Take the mask off.
Exactly. And stop being muffled and we
Jeez
can hear what
Louise.
you're saying. Although, based on how she looks, I don't think she's got anything to say I want to hear.
The world's most expensive COVID-19 face mask will cost you $1.5 million. Is it possible that somebody is being taken for a ride?
Well, someone's living in a
If
fantasy
Israeli
world.
jeweler naturally company
Let's find out.
said that.
And click on it. Click. Clicky.
Click where? Click where?
Click on the link.
I clicked the link. You can't see the thing. It opened in a window. Okay.
Oh my God.
My apologies, chat. You've been robbed.
We have.
Anyway, as I was saying, world's most expensive COVID face mask will cost you $1.5 million.
Who made it?
Ignore them.
Oh my God. Israeli jewelry company. Evil? Evil? Evil.
Yeevil. Yeevil, I think.
No,
No,
evil.
one minute, it'd be with a J, wouldn't it?
Jeevil. Juvel?
Jeevil, yeah.
Let's just go with evil. It's easier to say. It's currently designing the world. Sorry, go on. I'll let you read it.
Sorry, I'm just baffled by the fact they design, it's...
Right,
What do you need to design?
So said to be worth a staggering $1.5 million US, the white gold mask is made of 250 grams of pure 18-karat gold and decorated with more than 3,600 white and black diamonds, weighing a total of 270 grams. Oh my God.
We're always willing to take on new challenges, and this work of art proves it. We are thankful for being able to create and function in these challenging times. Thank you all to our media friends worldwide for giving us this platform to showcase it.
Quick question. If I go ahead with this question, we might have to take this stream down.
Don't go ahead with the question.
Damn. Okay.
When was this from? This was from August last year. Apparently it was delivered to a client on the 31st.
In these tumultuous days, every order we receive helps to preserve the company's day-to-day operations. 1.5, what was it? Billion.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's always someone trying to scam someone. Yes, Roy Bob, I thought it was 24 karat as well. Apparently that's pure gold in Israel. Good night, Tash. Yes, Nick is streaming or about to. No, Nick has been streaming for 15 minutes, my bad. So if you want to go over and listen to Nick on the Unwatched channel on DLive.
We do not have a picture. Sorry, English bird.
No,
Sorry.
we'll see if we can find one for tomorrow. There's got to be a picture.
I'll find one for tomorrow if there is one.
I'm going to see if there is one.
We can turn this into a thing, the world's most expensive stupid object.
Oh, I found it. Do you want to see it?
No, we save this for tomorrow. I think this could be an interesting stream.
Okay, well, it definitely does exist and there is a picture, so yes.
Chat, do not spoil yourself. We will look at it live tomorrow and we will take the mick out of it then.
Yes. Yeah, don't go and look it up. We'll discover the wonderful, I don't even know what to call it. It's not very pretty.
Mask.
It's really not that nice. But, whatever. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As always, it's been a pleasure. Please bear in mind, we got a bit off topic. The message is this. We've got to refine the way that we deliver the information. We've got to reach more people. Mm-hmm. If you have been able to have any conversations with people that have turned out to be a success, please do share your successes with us because it will help everyone else. And you can do that here on the stream tomorrow if you want to. You can do it in the Discord. We're also on Telegram. We've dropped the link to our Telegram in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight, for showing support. It's always lovely to talk to you. We'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. I'm not sure what we're doing tomorrow. We might surprise you with something tomorrow. You have to tune in at 7:30 to find out. So, yes, it's the beginning of the weekend. Have a very good Friday evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Indeed. See you then.
Bye for now.